Introduction to Project Management. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Introduction to Project Management. In today's rapidly evolving professional landscape, successful project outcomes are critical to every organization's competitiveness and sustainability. And project management is the structured way in which we plan, organize, and oversee projects to achieve specific goals, whether that's launching a new product, implementing a new process, or completing a major construction initiative. So in this lecture, we're going to begin by defining the concept of project management and highlighting why it has become essential in pretty much every industry. We're going to then explore the fundamental phases of project management, the key roles and responsibilities on a project team, and discuss topics like risk management, stakeholder engagement, and more. What is a project? So before diving deeper into project management, it is important to clarify what a project is. According to the Project Management Institute, a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Let's break this down. If temporary means a project has a definite start and end date. It is not an ongoing operation. It has a life cycle that usually moves from initiation through closure and unique deliverable. So each project is expected to produce something new or distinct, whether it's a tangible product or a revised process or a novel service. And this deliverable is what sets a project apart from routine operations. Define start and end date. Because a project has distinct start and end points, it often needs a clear rationale for beginning and clear criteria for completion. So projects happen everywhere. If we, in software development, it could be creating a new mobile app or feature. In marketing, launching a new campaign to reach a certain audience is also a project. What is project management? Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. Essentially, it's about driving a project from inception to completion while meeting or exceeding stakeholder expectations. The key objectives of project management typically revolve around managing scope, time, cost, and quality. When we mean talking about scope, we mean that we're ensuring the project includes all the work required and only the work required to complete the project successfully. And time, we mean by delivering the project within its planned schedule. Cost is completing the project within the approved budget. Quality, meeting or exceeding the quality standards expected by stakeholders. So These objectives reflect the project manager's primary responsibilities by planning, scheduling, budgeting, and controlling the quality of the deliverable. The project manager aligns the project to the organization's strategic goals. So that means effective project management keeps all project elements, such as people, resources, and processes, and so that you're focused on achieving the intended results. Moving on to phases of a project. So projects typically move through a standard set of phases known as the project lifecycle. Although there are variations in terminology across methodologies, uh, you will often see the life cycle broken into 5 stages: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, closing. So in the initiation phase, the project's value and feasibility are measured. The project charter is developed, which formally authorizes the project. Key stakeholders are identified and high-level goals are set. Planning is probably the most one of the most critical phases where detailed objectives, scope, resources, schedule, and cost estimates are established. Risk management plans, communication strategies, and procure plans may also be developed here. Execution. During execution, the project plan is put into action. The team carries out the tasks, follows procedures, and uses resources in a controlled way to achieve the project goals. The project manager's role here is to manage team members, communicate with stakeholders, and ensure tasks are completed on time and within budget. And for monitoring and controlling, as the team executes tasks, the project manager measures performance against the plan, and they track and report on project metrics such as schedule, budget, and quality, and make adjustments as needed to keep the project on track. And closing is the final phase. The project deliverables are formally accepted, and any remaining administrative tasks are completed, and lessons learned are documented. And this final step is crucial because it provides valuable insights for future projects. So let's move on. Key roles in project management. Successful projects depend not only on processes, but also on people. In most projects, you will encounter a few key roles. First is project sponsor, and project sponsor is usually an executive or senior manager who provides high-level direction. They approve funding, help set overall priorities, and are ultimately responsible for the project's success. Number two, project manager. And the project manager is the person tasked with overseeing the day-to-day management of the project, ensuring that tasks are executed according to plan, that risks are managed, and that stakeholder expectations are met. They are the hub of communication and decision making within the project. Project team. These are the individuals who do the work to produce the project's deliverable. The team can consist of specialists such as engineers, developers, designers, support staff, or any other personnel needed to get the job done. And lastly, stakeholders. And this term stakeholder broadly encompasses anyone who has an interest or stake in the project's outcome. This means stakeholders might include end users, suppliers, customers, regulators, and community members. And effective project management requires understanding the influence, interest, and requirements of all these roles. So engaging the right people at the right time can be the difference between a project's success and failure. Balancing scope, time, and cost. So scope, time, and cost, they are often referred to as the iron triangle or the triple constraint. And they form the three fundamental axes around which every project revolves. If we take a look at each, first scope. Scope defines the boundaries of what the project will deliver. So if the project scope expands, such as adding new features or requirements, it generally has a direct impact on both time and cost. Time. Every project has a schedule. So the challenge for project managers is ensuring tasks are completed within the agreed upon timeline. Delays can cascade, causing additional cost and affecting quality. And lastly, cost. And the cost is the budget for a project, and this includes labor, material, and other expenses. So if the project runs over budget, that typically means mismanagement of resources or a possible misalignment with the scope or timeline. And quality is often depicted at the center of the triangle, representing the end goal that depends on balancing these three factors. If one side of the triangle changes, say the scope increases, then either the time or cost or both may need to be adjusted to maintain the same level of quality. So project managers' job is to balance these constraints. Uh, so project managers negotiate with stakeholders to clarify which aspect is most critical and make trade-offs to keep everything in alignment. Project planning tools and techniques. Planning is the cornerstone of project management. Several valuable tools and techniques help project managers structure and schedule tasks effectively. First is work breakdown structure. And this work breakdown structure is a hierarchical decomposition of the total scope of work. And the work breakdown structure breaks down the project into smaller, more manageable pieces that can be scheduled, estimated, and assigned to individual or teams. Second, Gantt chart. A Gantt chart visually represents the project schedule, and it typically shows the start and end dates for each task and how tasks overlap. Gantt charts are excellent for seeing the bigger picture as well as the flow of sequential and parallel activities. Critical path method, or CPM, the critical path method identifies the sequence of tasks that directly determines the project's completion date. So any delay in a critical task will result in a delay of the overall project. Knowing the critical path helps project managers focus on the tasks that are most essential to keep on schedule. RACI matrix. First, RACI stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. So RACI matrix clarifies roles and responsibilities. For each task, the RACI matrix designates who is responsible, who is ultimately accountable, who needs to be consulted for input, and who simply needs to be informed. So using these tools can significantly improve communication, clarify expectations, and keep the project on track. And they also help highlight potential bottlenecks and risks at an early stage. So we're moving on to risk management and stakeholder engagement. No project is without risk. Risks are uncertain events or conditions that can affect a project's outcome if they occur. So effective risk management starts early and continues throughout the project lifecycle. Let's take a look at some key steps. First, risk identification. During the planning phase, the project team brainstorms all possible risks, uh, financial, technical, resource related, or external. And then risk assessment. Once risk identification is done, each risk is analyzed for likelihood and impact. And this step helps prioritize which risks deserve the most attention. And risk response strategies. For that, there are some common approaches, and they include uh, avoid, mitigate, transfer, accept. For avoid, we are saying we would adjust the plan to prevent the risk from happening in the beginning. Mitigate is reducing the probability or impact of the risk. Transfer is shifting the risk to a third party. You can think of it as the example would be like insurance or outsourcing. Accept is when you acknowledge the risk and deal with it if it occurs. In parallel with risk management is stakeholder engagement. It is important to keep stakeholders informed and involved, especially those who can influence the project's success. Regular communication, updates, and feedback sessions help align everyone's expectations. Addressing stakeholders' concerns early can also mitigate risk associated with miscommunication or resistance to change. And effective project managers devote consistent attention to both risk management and stakeholder engagement. And it is really important because these two areas can make or break a project if neglected. Communication and teamwork. Communication is often cited as the single most critical success factor for project management. Why is that? It's because projects bring together diverse groups of people, each with different roles, perspectives, and expertise. That means without clear, consistent, and transparent communication, tasks can fall through the cracks, misunderstandings can arise, and team morale can suffer. Team collaboration best practices include regular check-ins, such as daily or weekly stand-up meetings, help the team stay aligned and identify challenges early. Collaborative tools using project management software or collaboration platforms such as Slack, Trello, Jira, or Microsoft Teams to ensure everyone can access the same information. Define roles and responsibilities. When everyone knows who is responsible for what, it reduces confusion and fosters accountability. Conflict resolution is also a key in project settings. Uh, Disagreements will inevitably arise, and the best approach is to address conflicts early, focusing on the shared project goal rather than personal differences. Techniques such as active listening, empathy, and seeking win win-win resolutions help keep the team motivated and on track. By nurturing open communication, encouraging collaboration, and handling conflicts proactively, project managers create an environment where team members can excel and the project can thrive. Bringing the project to a successful end. So the final phase of any project is the closing phase. Even though this phase often gets less attention, it is pivotal. Proper closure ensures that all activities are wrapped up systematically and that the organization or client fully receives and understands the completed deliverable. And here are some important steps. First, formal acceptance and handover. In this step, you will obtain the customers or stakeholders sign off to confirm that the project meets or the agreed scope and quality. Handover typically involves transferring knowledge, documentation, and possibly training to the operations team who will use or maintain the deliverable. Documentation and final report step. And this step ensure all project documentation such as design documents, user guides, and contract-related papers is centralized and easily accessible. Final reports may include financial summaries, performance metrics, and a detailed account of project successes and challenges. Last step is celebrating successes and reflecting on improvements. In this step, you would recognize the work of the project team. Hosting a wrap-up meeting or celebration not only acknowledges the contributions made, but also fosters a sense of closure and achievement. And during this session, collect lessons learned, the valuable insights about what went well, what didn't, and how future projects can be managed more effectively. By thoughtfully closing out the project managers capture essential knowledge for the organization and provide a sense of completion for everyone involved. Conclusion. So in this lecture, we cover the fundamentals of project management, what it is, why it's important, and the core phases and processes that guide project management from a project conception to its closure. So we looked at the iron triangle, examined roles and responsibilities, and looked into planning, risk management, and the importance of communication and teamwork. Thank you all for listening.